But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
What's going on? You are back inside an episode of the Booty and the Beast podcast. I am your host, fitness informant, founder, and CEO, Ryan Buckeye. Again, no Danielle, as she's still hands-on baby mama during this time. But today, one of the best podcasts, if not the best podcast I think I've ever conducted, or at least that I've been so interested and intrigued by. And that's because our guest today is Sal Frisella. He is the president of Phorm International. You guys and girls know Phorm supplements. You probably know Legionnaires, Legion of Boom. Listen, this company, I was introduced to them back in about 2014, 2015, and it just seemed like there was something super special. The culture that they were creating, how their Legionnaires and Legion of Boom crew really wanted to be everything they could be, I know it sounds weird, for that particular brand. And it's all because they stand for something and they stand together. And I've been vocal, and I've said this on platforms, and I bring it up in today's podcast. I said, you don't need to have the most over-formulated formulation when it comes to your dietary supplements. You don't need to implement all this science. Not that it's a bad thing not to do that, but they have products that are sufficient, that can help people move towards their goal of living a better life through weight loss or muscle gain, but they do it through this idea of acceptance. Like, you are on this mission to create something better of yourself. We want to help you get there, and we're going to provide you the assets and the services that you need on top of the tools, which are their dietary supplements. It is an impressive story. This brand is now a $200+ million a year revenue brand, which is absolutely insane. And they just launched their energy this last fall, which Sal talks about in the podcast. They had plenty of hiccups when it came to energy, and that is a category that is absolutely booming. There are retailers out there looking to grow their energy category by 80% in the next year. So that's a prime opportunity for Phorm to go in there into these FDM or food, drug, mass retailers with their canned beverage products. But it's just impressive because this guy is a grinder. He reminds me a lot of myself. He's older than me, so maybe to him, I remind him a lot of himself in terms of the grinding. But he has a really good layout on life, a really good, he's got a good history. He played minor league baseball, taught him failures, taught him successes, taught him humility, and bring that into the business world after a couple different things of being a printer salesman and being a med device salesman, and now he's the president of Phorm International. So really excited to bring you guys that podcast. Again, one of the most beneficial, favorite podcasts that I've ever done, and we didn't even scratch the surface of all the things we could talk, so I'm definitely going to have him back in. You're going to notice we don't talk about his brother Andy at all until the very end, because this podcast was about Sal Frisella and what he has done, along with his brother and the team of 400+ employees, I think he said, of growing Phorm International to a $250 million booming ass business in the dietary supplement space. So excited about that. Big news coming up here. You guys know that we just celebrated our 3rd birthday at Fippler's. We launched Turtle Cheesecake, had the single biggest day in our company history. Picked, packed, and shipped nearly 300 orders from our sale, which lasted 3 hours. Super humbled, super grateful, and super thankful for the support. But I will tell you this here exclusively first on the Booty and the Beast podcast. This may go up on social as well very quickly. But on 4/18, which is April 18th, this is National Animal Cracker Day. So what do you think we're going to do? We're not done celebrating. We are going to be launching Frosted Animal Cookie on 4/18, April 18th, via our website, and retailers will have it either then or shortly thereafter, depending on when they order. And this is going to be a nationwide big launch. This is our version of our new Frosted Animal Cookie. We're excited to bring it to you. And when I was looking up these national holidays, I saw it was 4/18. I looked at the calendar. It's like, shit. Can we do this? Can we produce this in time and get this quickly out the door? And the answer is absolutely yes. We're producing it this week, shipping on 4/18 or 4/19 probably, with it going on sale 4/18. So that is your exclusive break there. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to bring it over to Sal Frisella. But if you like this podcast, hit the subscribe button, write us a review on the podcast platforms. It helps out the algorithm so we can show up in more searches. Whether it's a 1-star, 5-star, I don't care. Just send a review and let us know what you think. More guests and more guests and more guests are coming to the podcast as we are making this part of our 2023 strategic plan moving forward. Is we need to consistently put out these podcasts. You like them. I like doing them. Danny likes being part of them. So until that next podcast, this is the first Phorm International president, Sal Frisella. Let's go.
Adding my product is going to help you get to where you want to be.
5%ers is 5% of the people in the world that are willing to do whatever it takes to reach their goals. We're talking about business, success, education, willing to do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Cage was born of a need for premium, health-focused products that actually work. We help you lift heavier, run faster, live healthier, and achieve your potential. You deserve to trust a company that doesn't cut corners, one that sources the highest quality ingredients. Welcome to Caged.
I am super excited about this one. I can't even put enough emphasis on the word super. Sal Frisella joining us from St. Louis, Missouri, the first Phorm HQ headquarters, the man, the president behind the brand. Just chilling, having. Are you eating a brownie right now? Please tell me you're eating a brownie right now.
No, I'm having a delicious peanut butter lovers level 1 bar.
See, there we go. Nice little plug to start off the podcast. It's exactly what I wanted. A lot of times people are going to get you on here and ask you a bunch of questions, which I'm going to do, but I'm going to ask a super hard banger question off the bat. So I hope you're prepped for this one. Back in 2003, 2004, you played minor league baseball for 2 years in your 20s, right?
I did.
2004, you had your only error in your minor league baseball career. What happened?
I believe it was just a ground ball to right, and I booted the ball.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
The truth. You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
The truth is, I was probably hungover as hell, and it was probably a day game. It was probably 280 degrees, and I wasn't prepared. I mean, it's actually a great, and I talk about, it's a great reminder to my life or career in general. Is, I was gifted with an unbelievable opportunity in playing, minor league professional baseball, and I just didn't give baseball the respect it deserved, and it served me a nice shit sandwich in that sense, and it gave me a new vision on looking at life, totally different moving forward, because I have to take the gift that I have now and maximize it, because that gift that was given to me at the time, I didn't maximize it. I was more worried about being cool than I was more worried about being impactful or adding value to the team. And, that summer of my life, although it'd be one of the best, most fun summers of my life, it taught me a good lesson about life is, never take for granted the opportunity and the position that you have in front of you.
I mean, you're an impressive ball player. Drafted to the Cardinals, right, in their minor league system. You hit damn near 300. Right fielder, center fielder. Yes, I looked you up because I'm a huge baseball advocate too. I'm also a Brewer fan. So you being born and raised in St. Louis and being part of that organization, part of me wishes you'd have brought that air capability that you have in your system up to St. Louis so that way you could quit, the Cardinals could quit dogging the Brewers. And by the way, it's Yadier Molina is the only person that dogs the Brewers. He's one of the best players of all time. But I have heard stories about minor league baseball, about how much fun it is and how it's basically, to your point, you said you were probably hungover, how it's just this massive, you get this nice little signing bonus, and at the time probably worth a lot of money to you. And everybody's a little bit different. But, I mean, was it like just a college fraternity and you just happen to play ball every now and then?
Man, there are so many. I think, when you look at minor league baseball, there was so much life that I learned, so much fun that I had, so much what I learned that I don't want to be in life. But yeah, I mean, was it a fraternity? I think there's two sides of the clubhouse, right? Unfortunately, there are people like myself who are more interested in having fun than you were taking it serious. And then there was the other side, who honestly I wish I was more like when I was younger, but that's one of those things you learn in life. It was a business and it was a job, and there was a job that had to be done. And I was more worried about playing business, if you will, getting in and having fun than I was actually executing on it. And dude, I've been in every shithole city in the entire country. I've traveled in the back of a bus, 10 hours, 12 hours, sleeping in terrible hotels, making $1,200 a month. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything. But some of my best times were riding around in those buses with 30 guys, making memories, gambling, playing cards, telling stories, making memories. And, it's one of those things like when you talk about, loving the game or loving what you do, it's the journey, and there was so much education inside the journey. But quite honestly, I wasn't realizing it at the time. That fraternity or that clubhouse or that locker room mentality has parlayed and been one of the best experiences that I've had in being a part of First Phorm in our business here. Is, everything that I learned about life, I learned inside a locker room, and specifically, culture, standards, being a great teammate. And, it's been one of the best assets that I've had, being a part of this organization here. Is, I understand what winning teams need. I understand what winning teams are about. I understand the standard that has to be upheld inside the locker room in order for those teams to compete on the field. Mm-hmm. I understand that, not everybody can pitch. Some people are going to play right field. Somebody's got to play first base. Somebody's going to be the water boy. Yeah. And, you learn a lot about life and the journey and the struggle and the culture and standards. And I learned most of that in the back of some shithole bus or some shithole hotel in a town like Clinton, Iowa,
yeah.
That smells bad. Right. So, yeah, it was a hell of a ride, man. That's for sure.
You got taught. I mean, that's a lot of pressure as a 22-year-old kid coming out of college, being drafted by a big league team. Did you, and obviously it's helped mold you into what you've done. Like since then you've been with, I think, Johnson & Johnson, which that's a cutthroat business in med device sales. And typically they do hire athletes like yourself because you're already like pre-positioned to be successful in that role. Now you're the president of First Phorm. But talk about the pressure as a young kid in your 20s, knowing like you're under this microscope, this is your dream, this is what you want to do. This is a make or break time of your life. And obviously it worked out for you, but did you feel yourself crumbling under that pressure ever?
No, I think, I think pressure is a privilege, right? And you have to look at it that way. And, I've always, you don't just drop into this, going to bat in front of 15,000 people. Like, it's not like your first at bat going into, so, and a lot like business, right? Like you don't drop into, your 400 employee management system. Like it's one employee at a time. Like you learn to manage people one employee at a time. You learn to handle the pressure of being at bat in front of, 10, 12, 15, 20,000 people, one at bat at a time. And it starts, in high school, really little league, high school, you might play in front of 200 or 300 people. And in college, you might play in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people. Then, in the Cape Cod League, you might play in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people. So there's like a progression to the pressure to where it becomes just part of what you do. And I think life, it's kind of like being a dad, right? Yep. When you're the pressure of having your first child. It's like everything, all this information's coming in. You have child one. You're going through this learning curve. By the time they drop child two on you, like, you're not worried about changing a diaper. You're not worried about waking up at night. You kind of understand how the bottle game works. You know that you got to clean. Like, you aggregate one little brick at a time to the pressure, and and so it's parlayed into life. I was blessed to be able to have the athletic background and be able to play in front of those people and understand what a little bit of pressure feels like. And then when I got into medical device sales, same things. Good teammates, strong culture, creates a winning environment. Being able to play and do well inside those walls, and be able to talk to the biggest doctors and convert some of the biggest hospital systems. A lot of people would get nervous, but I think because I had some experience, being under those pressure situations early in my career, they weren't make or break for me, because I understand that, hey man, like, sometimes you're going to get told the word no. It's just no right now. You got to keep moving. And then, it's parlayed into the career now, where every day I get to walk into this place and it's a great day. And, I help, consult a lot of people in the space and talk to them and talk about leadership and management. And the position that I have is my door is over here to my right. Nothing good walks in that door. Like, nobody ever walks in that door and tells me I'm doing a good job. Nobody walks in that door and gives me a good piece of advice or tells me, really anything positive. Everything that walks through that door is a problem. And that's a privilege for me to sit in that seat, right? That's the seat I signed up for. It's the person who can solve the most problems sits at the helm. And so I sit here, and my job and ability to, handle those problems is a privilege. And I stopped looking at it as pressure or struggle. I pull in our parking lot. I got 400 employees under roof. There's 400 cars out front that I'm responsible for, 400 families that I'm out front that I'm responsible for, 400 living, breathing, great humans inside these walls that I'm responsible for. And if I looked at it from a pressure lens all the time, it can be demoralizing. And so you have to change that perspective and say, hey, listen, this is my privilege. I'm in a great opportunity. There are people who would love to be able to handle these problems every single day. And so instead of looking at it as negative, I've tried to always just change that perspective and look at it from a positive viewpoint. And I think, perspective in every situation is a very valuable asset. Being able to find the positive in every situation, being able to switch the perspective from a negative to a positive mindset, that starts with being able to acclimate to a little bit of pressure early on in your career, and how well can you handle it? How well can you adapt it and then pivot it into the next moving piece?
When you ultimately, I hate to use the word failure, but I'm assuming you probably use the word failure, like failed to make it to the big leagues, and I'm assuming that's really what you want to do. Did you take that hard? Were you excited about the next opportunity? Because everybody takes failure differently. Obviously, maybe it fueled you, because, look where you are today. But I'm always curious about your interaction with that word failure and how you handled it.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, right, you take it hard, because I was 23, 24 years old. Your identity at that point for me, I was a baseball player. That's what I was. That's what and you're young, so you're a little bit ignorant to the fact of like what really matters in life. But I was a St. Louis kid. I played in the St. Louis Cardinal organization. It was a stroke to my ego, is really what it was.
Right.
And I knew I had to face that. Did I take it hard? I mean, I had a collision home plate, broke my leg. My exit of baseball was not like one day you walk out. It was more of a transition over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get that like smack in the face that a lot of people do. But it was a lifestyle adjustment. I battled with a little bit of mental struggle, trying to find a new routine. We got to think for the greater part of my life. Showed up to the field every day. I worked out, worked, played. Went out, hit repeat. I mean, baseball is like the movie Groundhog Day. And, as humans, we're creatures of habit. And so once I broke that routine, it was really difficult for me to try to find a new routine. So I went out, actually, my first job was selling copiers. And I was actually pretty excited, because I went from making like $1,200 a month to making like $5,000 a month.
Yeah, right.
And so I thought I was rich. I was like, hell yeah, man, I'm 24 years old, I'm rich. And, and so that piece, was different for me, because, you got to think, man, I'm 23, 24, you're in the dating scene. And I used to be able to tell people like, hey, what do you do? I play professional baseball. Like that was a pretty cool thing to be able to do. To 2 months later, what do you do? Sell copiers.
Yeah.
It was a stroke to the ego, man. And there's ego plays a lot of role in our place as humans. And I think for me, that lesson of humility was a really strong suited play for my life, because I had to eat a great deal of humility in that transitional time, 3 to 27-year-old version of myself, and it allowed, I had to fail quite a few times in there to finish out that dose of humility. And I hope, and something that I pride myself on is, I've tried to pivot it into becoming the best version of myself that I could be today, which is being somebody who leads by example and having done some things, wrong in my life. When I say wrong, having done all the stupid stuff that young guys do, I've tried to be a beacon of light for our young culture here and explain to them, the correct way to do things, or, how to be a man of character, a person of character, a man or woman, how to be a person of value, how you don't really need to do those things to learn those lessons. I try to develop the youth in a very strong suited, character-minded way. And so that's been a fun part of my career. I learned a lot about life through that diamond. And it's helped me, hopefully, and I know it's helped me a great deal in success of being a father, being a husband, and ideally being a strong business leader here at First Phorm.
I think humility is huge. And I said a lot about, our brand Fit Builders. It's through hard work, hustle, and humility. Like those are three things that I'm very, very passionate about. And I've been through some shit in my life, and I've done some stuff I'm not proud of. But to your point, you don't have to experience that. We can become teachers, and we can help others, obviously change their perspective on things. And I'm also curious, because First Phorm wasn't always a $200 million company or doing $200 million in revenue, right? Like you had to build up. But were there times along the way where maybe your ego got back into place as you're growing? Maybe you doubled or tripled revenue from the year prior. And how did you keep yourself grounded and humble as you help steer and grow this ship into what this thing is today?
Well, I mean, it's a really good question. I think, it's an ebb and flow. But you realize ultimately at the end of the day, like I'm just one of the corner pieces to the puzzle. There are a lot of moving pieces. And I think, as you get older, you start to realize how less important your ego is into the success of life. And when I started worrying more about the value that I added to people and the value that I added to culture versus the value I added to my self-worth, my life became more important to myself. So there's self-fulfillment in watching other people succeed. And I don't look at the growth that we've had as a company. When we surpassed $200 million, like that's not me, that's us. Mm-hmm. And, it's one of those things where, yeah, sure, at times, like you look in the mirror and you're proud of what you do. But you realize at the end of the day, like we still have a lot of work that has to get done. And so those small celebrations along the way, when you, $10 million was a celebration. Okay, we got to get a lot of work, get to 20. 20 was a celebration, 20 to 40, 40 to 80, 80 to 160, 160 to 2 plus to where, they're all small windows of celebration, but you have to learn to be honest. Like it's not me, it's us, it's our team. And so, I think, specifically in the sports supplement industry, what you see is you get a lot of egos in our industry, right? And we've all seen them. And I think when you look behind the hood of a lot of those companies, you don't see a strong culture. And this will go for business in general.
100%.
And I'd be really proud to say, I think when you look behind the hood over here, there's got a really strong culture, got a great team full of a lot of hardworking individuals that, quite honestly, are better than I am. I get to sit in a seat that allows me to receive a lot of the credit that I don't like to receive anyhow. But yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like your ego, you're going to dig yourself along the ride. It's all right. I don't knock it. Like it's nice to look in the mirror and be proud of what you've done. But it's also really cool to look across the way and watch some of these young professionals who are kicking ass and taking names and building something themselves. That's equally as fulfilling as looking in the mirror and talking about how great we were, right? So listen, when I got that dose of humility early in my life, it taught me that you're not as cool as you think you are. You're not as important as you think you are. And everybody, when I say everybody, me included, can be replaced. And we certainly have enough talent inside here to be able to replace me. So that's where I sit there.
What was the moment? I think everybody has a moment. Like with me and Fitbler is a moment for me personally, and I said this in a video recently, is like walking in the vitamin shop the first time and seeing our product on the shelf. To me, that was like, holy shit, okay, we're doing something now. Wegmans, Publix, all this stuff it's great. But what was the moment for you on this journey where you maybe had a moment where you're like, wow, like we have something with a ton of momentum. We have something special here. Because I feel like every president, CEO, entrepreneur has that singular moment that sort of just makes them step back and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, I mean, I share a similar, walking into a gas station in random, and you're in the middle of Mississippi and you walk in and you see one of your products. Like it's cool, right? Like there's a cool factor about it that is really hard to explain. Walking through a random airport and seeing a Phorm shirt or somebody recognizing you, in a random place, like that stuff, that's all cool. But the moment for me where, I realized that we were doing something unique was our very first Summer Smash. And Summer Smash, for those of you who don't know, it's a summer event where, we invite in, basically we sell tickets, very limited, 12 to 1,500 tickets for a very limited selection where they get basically to spend $200. They give about $500 of apparel and supplements back in return. Plus we get a whole weekend of activities, going to the baseball game. We usually put on a pretty badass concert here at Phorm HQ. It's games, drinks, motivational speakers. Like it's an entire festival for $200, $500 return. But at first, the first Summer Smash, we would say, well, we're going to have a company barbecue and we're going to sell these things called golden tickets, like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Yes.
And, we were sitting there and, there's like, at the time we only had 7 or 8 employees, and social media had allowed us a really great segue to build characters and a movement around, helping real people get real sustainable lifestyle results. Like that's where our core business, like when, our core business is really helping people change their life through losing weight. That's what we specialize in. We're not the specialty 5-pound protein guy. That's just not kind of what our game is. So we've been able to create this culture around helping people change their lives. And so, we put our first Summer Smash tickets for sale and we put, I think, 500 golden tickets, and it sold out in like a minute and a half.
Jesus, crazy.
And we were wondering if we were going to sell them. Like we were like, well, shit, what happens if nobody buys them? Like what are we going to do then? Mind you, at the time we didn't know we were going to barbecue and work out in the back parking lot of our first building. Like it was just literally, that was it. And when we sold those 500 tickets, in a couple minutes, we said, well, shit, we got to figure out a way to make these people have a blast. And that reality of like, there's actually people who are invested in this brand, for us, because we were all huddled around the POS at the time when it was taking the transactions. It was a real moment. It was one of those moments where it's like, all right, what we're doing here is cool. Like this, what we do matters. And then to watch these people come from all over the country, and then to hear the stories of, becoming a better mom or dad from losing 50 pounds or going out and leaving their job, through the entrepreneurial network and starting their own career, becoming a Legionnaire, like all these cool, positive stories around what we're doing. I think that moment for me, it was self-fulfilling because what it showed me is that what we're doing matters. My life matters. What we're doing at Phorm matters. And it was cool because it was real at that moment for me.
I will say in all my years of being in the space, I got in the space officially in like 2014, I think, but I've never seen a brand with a culture like yours. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of brands since then have had affiliate ambassador programs, but like the Legion of Boom was really the first one that I heard of and seen the passion that these individuals have. Like they wanted to create content. They wanted to work hard for the brand. They loved everything about the brand. And I've said this, like, you look at your pre-workout, it might not be the biggest loaded pre-workout in the market. It doesn't need to be. But what you guys do is you have this culture and this sense of being that so many want to be a part of. How important was that in conversations on growing this brand? Because you don't get to 200 million without that type of culture, without that type of system that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I when you look at the products, I always like to think like, hey, we're going to be in the top 3, right? We're going to be in the category, and pre-workouts, like in particular, is such a subjective category. It's like, I mean, I've like I've been around it for a minute. It was 150 milligrams of caffeine, and it was 200, and they're like, "Well, I'm gonna make a better one. I'm gonna make it 250." And then the guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make it better. I'm gonna make it 300." So we're of the camp like when you buy from First Phorm, you know that you're gonna get a great product. You know that you're gonna get a top quality product in comparison, and we want to be able to be competitive in that landscape. Subjectiveness comes across the board: taste, flavor, feel, what you like, what you're trying to do, and knowing that. Everybody could always just add more caffeine or figure out a way to, make a little bit of a better product. But what the long road is in this game of life, the long road in the game of fitness is how do you develop a culture around helping people change their life? And what I know is, and what we try to compete on early is that's the hard way for these people to compete against us. And if we could just be us, nobody can beat us at it. Mm-hmm. And as long as we make a product that's competitive and it's a very top tier of the moving pieces of the sports nutrition industry, they're going to have to beat us on customer interaction. They're going to have to beat us on being able to deliver people results. They're going to have to beat us on customer service. They're going to have to beat us on how do we handle our Legionnaires. They're going to have to beat us on how we get out in events and actually meet these people and shake their hands. We send our staff from HQ. We fly them all over the country, and every weekend. In fact, I think the first time I met you was in New York City at Natural Body. I was there. They're going to have to beat us boots on the ground, and that piece. I'm pretty confident is we've been able to raise really great people of character here at First Phorm HQ, and when we put them out in the competitive landscape, like people remember them because people always remember how people make them feel. Mm-hmm. And that gets lost inside the landscape of business. You remember how somebody treats you. You remember, the interaction that you have. And when you're, let's say at Natural Body, right, at Steve's event, there's 50 brands there. How do you leave an impact in that 2 minutes that you're going to have with that customer to make them remember you for the next 12 months when they're walking through that door? What are you doing? And I think, and I feel very strongly about the type of community that we have, the type of leadership that we have, the type of employee / teammate that we have. We're going to compete and likely beat our competition at that level. And that's what we pride ourselves in. And that's the hard part, right? Because we're doing it at scale. We're not just at one event for the weekend. We're trying to be at 10, 12, 15, 20 events and, have those types of interaction. And I always, and I teach our staff here, and this is a good lesson, for anybody listening. And, our people are never behind the table. They're in front of the table. And they're in front of the table because I'm not going to have a barrier between us and our customer. We're just like you. We're somebody who's trying to figure out how to solve a problem. Usually it's gain weight, lose weight, and figure out what product's right for you. And so let's get next to them. Let's shake their hand. Let's take a picture with them. And, that culture piece, although we might be subjective in the pre-workout category and it's a 1, 2, or a 3, I'm confident to say that we're a 1 or a 2 out there in front of the table, talking to those customers.
It's not just the end user. You guys have amazing relationships with retailers. Like a lot of people can look at it and be like, well, margins are good. Yeah, margins are good. But what I think people maybe don't understand is you also have a pocket of retail stores that you guys have in us too. So you understand how that process works. You can go in and somebody like Steve and understand the problems that he goes through, the issues that they face on an everyday basis. And I think a lot of brands, they don't get that. They think, they're just selling a tub of powder and they don't understand what the end consumer is really dealing with at that retail level. How much has the education that you guys have all obtained from owning those storefronts and then going out in the wholesale market are able to take that knowledge with you and help retailers and develop those relationships?
Yeah. Few things. I own nothing to do with Supplement Superstore. That's my brother and Chris. And then Andrew and Chris, we're all partners in First Phorm. Yep. So just clarity piece. But I was raised in retail. I hung all the store shelves in Supplement Superstores all the way up to like 2017, 18. Like I was actually in the store hanging the shelves. That retail environment, building relationships like Steve's. And I think if you ask him, I was the first brand to ever go up and actually work the floor and help train his employees, understanding how to work a retail floor, not just sell First Phorm. Because of Supplement Superstore and the relationship and watching my brother build that business, I understood how to work a retail floor. I understood sports nutrition. I understood, Allmax, Cellucor, BSN, Optimum Nutrition. I know all the owners of the brands, and I So I would position it, and I still look at it this way. Like, my job is not to sell my product to that customer. My job is to help that customer get the best results for what they're trying to seek. And whenever I put that retail hat on, I don't become a part of, I'm not first Phorm centric, I'm customer centric. Sure. And I think a lot of brands, because here's what happens, right? Somebody's in really good shape, they're jacked, tan, and shredded. They say, well, I'm going to start a supplement line. Well, they're not, that doesn't make them great customer centric salespeople. Right. And so they fail to miss that piece. And they think, well, I look good, I should have a brand. It's like, no, well, in retail, specifically specialty retail, you have all walks of life walking in that door. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to pivot on a dime. And it's that maybe this mom right here is not worried about 500 milligrams of caffeine. They're worried about gut health, or they're worried about, finding, maybe she's pregnant, she's looking for a great prenatal. Like, how do you pivot and have that conversation? Having the backbone of the stores and the store experience really put myself in a great position to be able to, start that retail network. And even our guys who fit into our wholesale channel now, it's 15-ish people. They're store driven. They've come out of our stores. They understand retail. We can plug them in anywhere in the country, and they're going to add value to a retailer. So having that backbone of specialty retail knowledge has been crucial to help developing some of these retailers become successful. Because as to your point, we more or less revolutionized the way that the specialty retail marketing is done now. Like, we first started selling, it was never going to work. That was the whole thing. I mean, I can't tell you how many retailers said it's never going to work. Right. But because we understood D2C, you could set a price point online, allow the retailer a little bit of money in between, and allow them to make some money. They weren't competing with bodybuilding.com or competing with Amazon or competing with, I forget the place out of Wisconsin. But it's one of those things where having a good business knowledge, because we experienced it on our side, and then pivoting it out forward facing, we allowed those people to grow their businesses and be a partner with them. We weren't just like, buy 6, get 2 free, and drive your margin. We were able to teach them a better way of maybe interacting with a customer, offer them a product lineup that was protected by an online price. And with social media, we were able to drive customers to their stores. Mm-hmm. And so, that 3-prong approach, that little trident balance, allowed for us to gain a great deal of respect with our retailers. And we've always been true to our word. And I say this today. I mean, and I just use Steve as a reference and all these things because everybody knows Steve, and he's one of my best friends in the whole world. I love that guy. I shook his hand 10, 12 years ago. And if you ask him today, like, I don't have a signed agreement with him. I shook his hand. I've told him what we're going to do, this is how it's going to work. And I've never vowed from it, right? I've never even swayed a little bit, and nor has he. Mm-hmm. And so those people still exist in the world. And I think those are the ones that are going to thrive a great deal in specialty retail. And man, there's a lot of great retailers out there, and it's our obligation, I feel, to protect them, so that they have the opportunity to pay their bills and really help the world become a healthier place, one customer at a time.
You bring up Steve a lot. I love Steve too. When we were, going in the vitamin shop, Steve was the first person I reached out to, and I said, "Hey, dude, just FYI, and his response was what I think all retailers should have, is he thought it was a good thing for his business, like getting into 720 stores with 5 SKUs when he has all of them in his stores, and he knows a customer walks into his store, they're not leaving, they're not going back to Vitamin Shop potentially at that point. So when you guys ultimately made a decision to go Vitamin Shop, I think it was a surprise to a lot of people. Definitely for me, because I didn't know about it, and all of a sudden I saw the post. I was like, damn, well, good for them. How did that decision stem? Was there a process going into that? Was there any hesitation, or was it just, let's do this?
Well, I mean, when you look at, to your point, 700 stores, we only sell our ready-to-drink or energy drink, and then, our bars, meat snacks, convenient snacks, that's our category in the Vitamin Shop. And the reason being is, we offer our food, drug, and mass category. We're mainly our business in its entirety is direct consumer specialty retail. Mm-hmm. And when you look at, our consumer they're in grocery stores, right? They're in convenience stores. They're in a convenient place. And specifically with the landscape of the energy drink market, I'm happy that's a conversation that's probably worth having. But how do we get into these convenient categories where our core consumer, which is a 35-year-old mom, right, who buys for the household. Like, how do we get into these shops where the convenient buy is happening? And so, Vitamin Shop's a great avenue. They have 700 retail locations. They're in the snack market. They have a huge bar selection. They're stack it deep in the energy drink space. So we felt it was a good move for us, in the snacking convenient category as a brand expansion. Looking at, our bar category, our meat stick category, and our drink category, the likes of, Hy-Vee, Kroger, H-E-B, Publix. You start looking at some of these growth categories. Our bar creates a lot of demand in those places. Our meat sticks are growing in the grocery category, and obviously our energy drink is backfilling and doing a standalone job specifically in the Midwest. Yeah,
the drinks category alone, I just had a conversation with Giant Eagle last week, and I think they're looking to expand that set by like 80%. I mean, it's crazy how quickly that's going. But there's going to be a time, I think, Sal, where they're going to want the proteins, the 1-pounders, the 2-pounders, because we're seeing that now, right? I mean, Hy-Vee's a great example. I have them here in my backyard. I think there might be a couple down by you as well, too, in Schnucks and stuff. But you walk into there, and their health market set is beautiful. Yeah. It is. Their HBC set is unbelievable. Ghost just went into Target with the 1-pound protein tubs. Like, the demand's going to be there for your brand. So how's that conversation going to go? Are you guys adamant to stay D2C and specialty on the pills and putters, or is there Kroger's, the HEBs of the world, their sets and how they're carrying more sports nutrition because they see the value? Where does that put you in position?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you look at you're dead on in the sense of, we're getting demand. I mean, if you ever thought that, buyers start calling you, right? It's kind of like, well, this is backwards.
Right.
Never really thought that would happen in my career, but, you make a business decision, and we made a business decision, not to offer our sports supplement as a full lineup in all these categories. What we have done is offer, some split sets, some smaller SKU setups. We've gone into Academy Sports, and a little bit of smaller setups. Selling basic sports nutrition or 2 or 3 flavors of isolate protein, creatine, 2 or 3 flavors of pre-workout, letting them in small snaps. Our full lineup is still going to be basically exclusively available through sports nutrition. But when you start looking at these 1-pound, 2-pound plays like Dan's making inside, Target and whatnot, you're going to see the demand start to peak up for it. You're going to start to see the brand start to fulfill it. For us, with having the DSC channel built out and how our model's specifically built in the sense of the, independent Legionnaire, we distribute our own products. We're not as heavily reliant on the distribution that most brands are. They're heavily reliant on, distribution through, Kroger or Target or the local grocery store. We've been able to fulfill that market in direct consumer. We're probably going to stay in that lane for the better part, at least the near future, 3 years, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, you're even seeing Walmarts of the world. I mean, their set has improved dramatically in the last 2 years, and they're, reaching out to brands. I mean, could you see First Phorm being in Walmart?
No, we declined Walmart.
Okay.
We went down and went through the, it was actually, talk about a real moment. It was cool. I know you went down there and, you go through, do your little set. They actually presented to us. It was eye opening. That's just not our consumer.
Sure.
And our consumer, is somebody who needs and wants direction and customer interaction at the high level of service. And, a core piece of our game is our fitness app, and allowing our customers, we have 42 people that just work inside the app and helping people answer questions in regards to diet, exercise, supplementation, and really just tracking of their food. So our core consumer and what we do best, which is interact with our customer, it's just not served well in the Walmart Target space because they're not able to have that level of service. And that's why we've leaned on specialty retail. We're able to have that deeper level conversation. We're able to be able to really help that person and guide that person through that journey of fitness, whether it's lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. And, we've made the decision as a brand. And I mean, is this a life move? No, I don't know. I think for the time being, when I look at it, they're not going to get that interaction at a big box store. Right. And so that's been that's been our hesitation as a brand of moving in that direction.
Well, you just made a lot of specialty retailers happy. mean, that's for sure with that. So
Yeah.
you have no idea what shopping is going to look like in 5 years. I mean, 5 years ago, I don't know. We were all shopping online, but to the point we are now with Amazon and Walmart.com and just D2C, it's been a crazy climb. Beverage is a bitch. Let's just say what it is, right?
Well, let me go back and hit that there, because I think I have, I'm not saying we're the biggest D2C supplement guy in the game, but
you're pretty big.
We have a lot of experience in the market. I think what you're seeing is, for the first time, Amazon's, reporting some neutral earnings and some capacity. And, I believe in the backbone of America and small business. And I think we believe that as a company. And really, I really, really, really want that small business to thrive and that small relationship to thrive. And I think specialty retail, is the melting pot of America that way, and it has our opportunity. So what we're seeing on our end is specialty is growing. Our wholesale channel is growing faster than our D2C channel, in that environment. And after seeing Amazon report and going through that, it shows me, and I would like to think that, specialty is not dead.
Mm-mm.
And specialty, in done the correct way, it's got a great real upside. I think you're going to see people going back into the communities and shopping, and that's really what we're banking on, is that the small business environment, the small town shopping, it's there, and it's going to be there. I think people are going to want to support their communities, and so somebody taught me something really. There's one of my business mentors. He's the CEO of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, largest privately held company in the world, based out of St. Louis. He's since passed, great dude. He gave me a piece of advice one time. He said, just because you can sell something doesn't mean you should sell something. Remember that. And, we've had opportunities to sell in pretty much every big retailer across the country. And that always comes into my brain. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And, that part of that exclusive mindset, allows us to control our growth. It allows us to really make sure that we're controlling our conversation and that we don't dilute what it is that makes Phorm special, which is that customer interaction.
I love that. You're absolutely right. I mean, you're going to have opportunities every day of the week to sell that brand in the places. And for you, I mean, you can see the money on the wall. If you look at a Walmart or Target, what you're going to be making. And if you do the, number of units per store per week calculations, you're making good money, but you're electing to not go the money route. You want to stay service route and stay true to your values. And I love it.
Yeah, and I've learned, if you get to the T in the road and your identifier is money, you'll lose.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is because ultimately your customer sees that you're playing for money.
Yep.
And it's hard, man. You sit down at Walmart, they've got talk about data, man. I've never sat in a meeting and been presented that much positive data in my life. It's actually really impressive. They sell more tailor-made golf clubs than Golf Galaxy, and they sell more Dyson vacuums than anybody in the world. You're like, oh, wow, they're selling high ticket items every day. This is a premium place to buy. And I think for those particular goods, they're fabulous moves for our business model. And I'm not saying for everybody in sports nutrition, because I think I actually, and this goes into a business economics just philosophy thing. I think Walmart will surpass. I think Walmart will compete with Amazon and actually go toe to toe because of the internal distribution network, their ability to go same day delivery.
Yeah.
They're already built on the ground, but that's a whole nother conversation. It just wasn't the right play for us. That's all. You know what I mean? And I don't think, there used to be saying, oh, brands go to Walmart to die, like all the old guard. I look at, these big box retailers are getting smart. Health and wellness is growing. It's a growing industry, and they know, sorry, my lights just went out. They know that they got to compete to play.
Yeah. I mean, and they do, but I mean, I think COVID had a lot to do with that too. And people kind of reverting more attention probably back to their health, and they see the numbers, obviously the Walmart GNC partnership, that's not a partnership. That is a partnership. I don't know what you want to call it. And they see the numbers, like they can get this data through Spins and Nielsen. They can see what these checkouts at registers are, and it's smart for them to get into it. And, like I said, I love shopping grocery stores that have awesome curated sets, because it's impressive to see these brands that once upon a time were just, and they still are small to some extent, like us. Like we're very small as a brand, but I'm accessible, and we're accessible in locations that we once weren't before. And it's cool that now we can be there for people to grab off the shelf and go. Obviously our business model is slightly different than yours. It's not so much service. It's like, you want something that tastes good, here you go. Which then brings me into beverage, because beverage is an animal. Like beverage is a bitch. If you haven't been in the beverage world before, I mean, you're shipping canned water. You're shipping 1 pound cans pretty much, which is a pain in the ass. And everybody out there that owns a supplement company looked at what Jack Owalk did with Bang, and now like what Ghost is doing, what you guys are growing at, and everyone wants a piece of the pie. But how difficult has it been as a learning curve for, and you guys have a lot of distribution knowledge. So, and you've dealt in the store side, but has it been an extreme learning curve on the canned beverage in terms of getting line time, shipping it, keeping costs where they need to be?
Every day's a learning curve. You know what I mean? Every day's a life lesson. I look at, it's been a lot of fun for me personally. You know, what's interesting is you're starting to see a lot of the brands come in right now, and I think they're eye on the prize, Celsius deal, you know, as they should be, right? We were making a decision 20 months ago on when we were going to land and play in the game. We were kind of taking this approach that, hey, we're not going to be first to the market. We're not going to drop it in the middle here. We're going to let kind of everybody settle, and we're going to play on the backside. Yeah. And, you know, we strategically launched last August. Learning curve, sets happened in September, missed all the sets. So, you know, we were dead in the water for 7 months, which was great because it allowed us to work through some of these, you know, debacles, if you will. But, you know, in the Midwest, we're doing really, really well. We're the fastest growing energy drink inside the AB distribution network between St. Louis and Kansas City. Yeah. Going into Springfield, we dropped into Hy-Vee. We're trying to get some different sets going into the late spring set here. I love contract manufacturing. I love the game. I love learning. The drink animals, I mean, it's awesome actually, because, you know, how I look at it is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 Monster Red Bull based on whose data you're looking at. You know, Rockstar is 3, which is crazy. Like, who drinks Rockstar? Yeah. But it's nuts, right? Like, they're just dropping massive volume. You know, you look at the 4-player in Reign, you know, and then you go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Jack was 5, built an absolute animal of a business. But they're losing market share with all the recent dealings, $700 million of market share, I believe, lost the last 12 months. Opens up the door for, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, you got the boys at C4, you got Dan at Ghost, you got Katie and Hayden and the Congo crew, Lonnie New, who are, you know, I know Hayden and Katie personally, great people. I don't know Dan. I know Dan a little bit. You know, Internet Land done a phenomenal job with Ghost, and I know Anheuser-Busch took a position with them. I was with their CEO last week. You know, and then C4, Dawson, the boys over there, they've done a great job. That, you know, kind of in the wings with KDP, and it's cool because I look at it as a great opportunity for us to slide in and start playing, because as these brands go into, you know, some losing market share with you know, with Bang and going down, some of these other brands are going into different directions. Right. It opens up the specialty door inside these grocery stores and convenience stores, you know, where they're going to start sliding into the Pepsi coolers, and Celsius is moving over, and we're starting to open it up. It's given us an opportunity where we're going to get where we feel we're going to get some slots. And we have it, you know, ideally, the way we look at it from our perspective is our core customer right now is likely buying. They're not buying a Monster. They're not buying a Red Bull. They're not buying a Reign. They're likely buying, you know, a C4, a Ghost, Milani New, one of our sports nutrition competitors in the space. Our customer is buying that drink. We feel pretty confidently that, you know, it's going to take us 18 or 24 months to get in, but we think we could regain at least our market share, our customer back out of it, and hopefully, you know, be able to build enough brand awareness around, you know, a growing market share inside the space. You know, it's slotted to do about $27 billion this year. There's a lot of opportunity, you know, in the future, and it's fun because there are new relationships, there are new buyers, it's new opportunity. But I think, you know, we feel we got at least an understanding of what's going on. You know, those brands that I mentioned, they've done a hell of a job, man. They pioneered a really cool way of getting in and really kicking ass and setting the tone. And, you know, and my hat's off to really all of them, because, you know, it's you know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, I think Josh was probably the first guy in the space at C4. It was one of those things where, you know, kind of what's he doing? And, you know, he was the first one too. And, you know, that stack of deep, sell it cheap in the club stores, Sam's, Costco, you know, two C4s for $19.99. I used to think to myself, what in the hell is this guy doing? But the guy's done it, and he's repeatedly done it. And, you know, and I take my hat off to him, because, you know, you have to pioneer that pathway, and you know, we're going to try to take our run at it, see what we can get done.
Yeah, and if anybody saw that KDB deal, they know that there's good money in that deal. There's good money in that space, so which is good because they're all good people that were involved in that, and I'm happy, you know, that they're getting theirs, and you know, obviously Dan and Ryan are good friends of mine, so I love to see that, and just it's fun to see your friends be successful. That's the coolest thing for me too. Yeah. And, so we're gonna go last question. I'd be remiss if I didn't end the podcast on this, but we're talking about high energy drinks. Let's talk about high energy, 3 children, being a dad, disconnecting, being present. You're president of a $200+ million company. How do you find the time, or how do you? Because I struggle with this, and and I think it's just I put so much pressure on myself to continue to build the brand. Like the brand will be there tomorrow, and I need to understand that, but I'm not good at it. I'm terrible at disconnecting.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's a struggle for anybody who prioritizes being a parent and a husband,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's an important thing. But I look at, and I take a great deal of pride in this, man. So this is probably, you know, I love sports nutrition. I love business. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but you know, I do the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk my language when you start talking about husband, you start talking about dad. That's what I love to do. It's what I love to coach around. It's what when I die, it's what I hope I've been able to help the world the most in. You know, you have to learn to prioritize what's most important to you. And, you know, what I've realized about business, you know, and having so many employees, and being around is that the business will be there, and your kids are only going to be young once.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only going to get time to nap with them and lay with them and sleep with them and cuddle them and take them to school. You're only going to get that time once in your life. And you have to realize that and understand that you need to prioritize what's most important to you. And I think them being little children and experiencing their dad should be a priority to you if that's most important. You say, well, what about the business? I pay for my kids and I give them the lifestyle. Your kid's not going to care how much money you make.
Yeah.
Your kid's going to care how much time you spent with him. And your kid's going to know, you know, how much you loved on him, and he's going to remember playing baseball in the backyard. That's what your kid's going to remember most. And, you know, it's important that you prioritize that. And so for me, I learned this early, thank God. How old are you, Brian?
36.
Okay, so I'm 42, right? I'm just a little bit older than you. And what I did is I broke my day out into things that are most important to me. And I don't operate this way perfectly every day, but I break this out into what's most important to me. And my physical health is important to me. I like myself. You know what I mean? This is as narcissistic as it sounds. Like I like myself, and I like being in solitude by myself. And so, you know, I like being a dad. I love being a business person, and I love being a husband. Those are the things that are most important to me. And so I prioritize those things, and everything else takes a back seat to it. So it's never going to be balanced. That's what you got to realize. You can try to balance what you got, but it's never going to be perfectly balanced. And balanced, to my understanding and how I've managed success in this particular field, is being able to prioritize what's most important to me at that point in time of the day. And so what I do first is I always work out in the morning, 5:30 to 7 a.m. That's my time. And that's when I read. I love to read. I read about the level of a third grader, but I love to consume information. I like to work out. I'll watch my Fox Business in the morning, and I get myself time. I get to sit in the sauna. I get to relax. I get to decompress. But if I get me out of the way early, I'm not fighting for it the rest of the day. And my wife can come down and work out with me because that's an us time thing. And she's the only person that can bother me during my workout time. And that's what I do. 5:30 to 7 a.m. That's me. 7 a.m. to whatever 8:15. I'm dad. I am dad. I cook them breakfast. I get them ready for school. You know, I do the girls' hair. I play catch with Enzo. I play chess with that. Whatever's going on to be dad right there, I'd be dad. And I take them to school when it's my turn to take them to school. And, you know, I enjoy and embody those morning moments because I realize that they're short-lived. You know, business will be there. This is short-lived. And I try to take that in. You know, I love the smell of the morning, and I love being with my children. When I get to work, I'm here at 8:30 in the morning. I don't leave until 5:30 at night. I haven't eaten lunch yet. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. I meet, and I am every 15, 30, 45 minutes on the scale. Like, I don't mess around when I'm here. I don't leave work. I don't go out to lunch. I don't go to baseball games. I don't play golf. I don't do business trips. Like, I am at business. I love this place. I love what I do. I love what I get to do every single day. And if I went out and robbed that time in the middle of my day from my team here, I'm doing them a disservice. So I take my business career very, very, very seriously. But I don't let anybody steal that time either. Just like I don't let them steal my morning workout time, I don't let them steal my kid time. I put the phone down. When I'm in business, I don't let anybody steal my business time. Then when I go home, say 5:30 to 8:30, I'm dead. I'm back in the saddle, man. And everybody knows, and you know this, that witching hour at night, that's a hard time. Morning's kind of easy with the kids. Night's like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I've learned to embrace it. You know, all the wildness and madness and, you know, and getting them ready for bed. But, man, there's nothing better than laying in bed with those kids, you know, and asking them what they did today and telling them that you love them and turning on the little sound machine. Like that's the most precious thing in life that we'll never get back.
Yeah.
That's a priority to me. And that's why I don't go to business dinners, you know, every night with people, and I don't go to the baseball game because I'm not going to miss that time with my children. From 8:30 to 10:30, I'm husband. And I know it sounds terrible, but I'm more than husband, you know, try to be throughout the day by being all, you know, man of character through the other things. But I love my wife. I love our marriage. And so at night I get to be me and I let her queen. And my Uncle John told me a great story one time. If you want to be king, she must first be queen. And it didn't make sense to me when I was younger, but as I get older, I realized like you can't be a king without a queen.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get to sit down and spend that time with my wife. I let her drive, man. My wife's got an unbelievable career. She's highly successful independently. So if she wants to work at night, I'll sit next to her and work. You know, we'll saddle up and laptop it out. If she wants to watch Real Housewives of whatever county, I'll sit down and do that. If she wants to watch a Netflix series, I'm doing that. I let her drive.
Yeah.
And, you know, it allows us that's my version of balance. That's what works for me. Mm-hmm. But I don't steal those times really very rarely while I let somebody into those windows of my life without them fitting into my priority. And my business mentor told me one time that I moved away from our business. So I sold my house to one of my guys here. When I say I moved away, like I moved further out, 25 minutes away from our headquarters. Sure. It used to be 5 minutes. And the reason I did that is because, you know, I love to work. Like it's easy for me to be here. Like we have this unbelievable facility. It's badass. Like it's easy for me to come here and be king, man. Because what I say happens, right? Like it's just, that's the nature of the role I have. But I had to move away and really just create a little space because, and my business mentor told me, like, if it's on fire, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go put it out? Mm-hmm. You know, grab a garden hose and watch it. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna. If this little phone, you can't fix the problem you have, you'll be okay in the morning whenever you got to go fix it. So just relax, you know. And so that was a good lesson for me, is understanding that problem that's the biggest problem right now. Take a breath, have a good night's sleep, because usually it's a little bit easier to solve in the morning. Yeah. And go hit it hard with a fresh head in the AM and give it the best you got. So, you know, I as I mature through business, I start to realize like what you make a priority is a priority. And if it's important to you, you'll prioritize it. So I prioritize my fitness, my kids, my business, and my wife. Mm-hmm. And those are the things. Those are my cornerstones. Those are my four pillars. And very rarely do I let people outside those walls.
I love it, dude. Well, I appreciate the time today. It's great. We're not going to speak any further.
1 hour. That was quick.
That went quick, man. It went quick. But I mean, enlightening, educational, solid advice. I definitely appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you too. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the podcast. And, you know, I know you've done a great job of, you know, building a great deal of credibility in the space. And, you know, I know a lot of times, you know, we're not considered in the space, you know, but I always kind of feel like an outsider looking in, you know, watching all the stuff you guys do, you know, like now I feel like I'm in the club.
I've said this every single year. You're the biggest, most successful brand that nobody talks about. And it's, we know it. Like I said, you guys and Katie and Hayden and Alani and what they're doing, like these are two brands that are doing things the right way, amazingly, that my channel admittedly does not speak enough about. And I wanted to get you on selfishly because I wanted to pick your brain. I think, you know, not to ramble on, I think a lot of people, you know, talk about your brother and he's great, but I was like, this is the guy I want to talk to because you're both great. But it was good to get some business acumen, some perspective, but basically for me, more so like that family balance. And as I try to grow a business and as I try to juggle everything in my life, from somebody who's been there, done that, and seemingly is doing a very successful job of doing so, it meant a lot for me to have you on.
Well, I appreciate that. And the feeling's mutual. And the brother thing, because it's important. A lot of people, it's cool, man. Like you got to think, like, not only do I get to go to war with my brother every single day, like we're a good yin yang. Like he's out front, like that's his deal. Like I'm back here. This is my deal. This is what I love to do. It's what he's good. He's great at that. And then I play my role is what I do, and we work well together. So it's just one of those things. Somebody's got to be quarterback. Somebody's got to hike the football, right? Somebody's got to play left tackle. And what I learned about life is it's okay not to be quarterback. Sometimes the left tackle is the most important position on the field because you got to protect the quarterback. And the left tackle makes himself a little bit of coin too, and it has a hell of a career.
Yeah, they make a little bit of money.
So I'm a left tackle. You know what I mean? I'll be a good left tackle. But if I'm a left tackle, I'm going to be the best one I got.
I love it, dude.
So I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the time. And like I said, if there's ever anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Appreciate it.